We have, I like to mix things up a little bit. We've heard from a lot of folks in the sort of the research side of the world, the academic side of the world, but here you are in Silicon Valley or in the San Francisco side of it, and we have a lot of technology companies, and I think a huge part of information overload, combating it, understanding it, building solutions for it, is that side. So even though FirstRain is a sponsor here, that's not why we have them speaking today. We don't have that as an option or something like that. It's really based on what is the talk. And I'm excited to hear of, what is it that you learned from the data behind these technology solutions, and what are solutions that are related to that. So FirstRain will be talking about some very interesting things on that side of it. We have two speakers from them, from FirstRain coming up. Faith Chang, who is the Director of User Experience at FirstRain, and she has a background in UX and digital design. She's worked in financial services, insurance, ISP, of course in technology as well, and she holds an MBA from Case Wetherland, as well as a BA in architecture from Yale. And also, Nima Niakan, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. He actually spoke here last year on our panel where we talked about tech solutions, and we thought it was great to invite him back. He has more than a decade of experience in software, kind of focused on designing solutions for everyday information challenges. He's an executive fellow at FirstRain, and he's working directly with a lot of their customers on their specific needs and challenges. He holds a BS from the College of Architecture and Environmental Design from California Polytechnic, Cal Poly, St. Louis Obispo, and an MBA from Pepperdine. So I guess you need to be in architecture if you're coming to this tech world. Is that the idea? um, well, I will welcome you both up here. And Faith, do you have your own?
I'm Faith. So we're just going to switch gears, like Jared was saying, and up to now, there's been a lot of discussion around the problems of information overload having to do with how we process it, how humans process it, attention, interruptions, and where FirstRain is actually focused on is more on the technology aspect of how we deal with finding information that matters to you in a world of overload. So it's really a signal to noise problem that we deal with in our technology. And what we do is we provide business professionals and global enterprise with really clear, high-resolution pictures of the businesses around them. And so, in order to do that, we have a huge technology stack that Nima will kind of explain a little bit. And then, on top of that, we are finding that we're coming into an area where having to deal with people who are constantly interrupted and in multi-valent workflows is a big part of the challenge. So let me just forward. Yeah, so a lot of the interruptions that you're talking about, like, really is like sports, spam. I mean, that's the stuff we have to cut through in order to get to what is very important to the end user. And our customers are folks like there was a quote earlier from the CEO of IBM, or not the CEO, somebody in IBM, about information overload. IBM is our customer, Microsoft's our customer. They equip all their sales and marketing teams with FirstRain. So, did I do something? Oops. So the way that we've come to frame this problem is in two ways. There is the information experience part of it, and by that we mean our technology. So how do we get the content from the web? The web is our starting point, right? So if information is our currency, the web is our starting point. How do we get that information experience correctly? Okay, and so that's really about understanding the aboutness of what we get, and really categorizing that. And then on the other side, there's the user experience, because once we've gotten to understand what that aboutness is in our own language, in our own technical language, we have to translate that to the user, because they are faced with overload. They are faced with lots of false echoes of the events that are going on around them. And so in order for this to actually help them do their jobs better, to make decisions, to act, to close deals, they need to know what it means, right? So we find that in the user experience layer, what we're dealing with is a translation of what we find on the web. It's essentially a translation problem. And so, in between the two, we're kind of doing a lot of development around building higher level modeling of what we find off the web into a language and an organization that the end user can make use of.
So I'll talk about this a little bit. So if you think about our users, they're salespeople, marketing people, they're hedge fund managers, they're CEOs of GE. What their problem is they get 800 emails a day. We have 800 emails a day, right? Quarter of them are newsletters they sign up for. Quarter of them are things that people their vendors are sending to them. And about half is internal, right? There's a lot of stuff coming at them, and they've got to read all 800. Hedge fund managers tell me all the time, I've got to read 800 emails a day. Why are you adding one more, right? If you want competition, you want 1/800th of you'll get that much time out of me. So what we basically have done is created a technology stack that takes the web and tries to earn the right to be the 801st email that you read. But on top of it, actually replace a lot of the things that you already do. So we are information-centric, right? We as humans in America, at least, we're very information-centric, developed world. We rely on what's happening in our competitor in China. We need to know what's happening with our customer in Raleigh, North Carolina. We need to know global things and hyper-local things all at the same time, but I don't have the time to go dig for it. I'm just reacting to everything I'm getting still. So what we've basically done is created a technology stack that crawls the web and can actually pull out the junky stuff, the stuff that's irrelevant, Kardashians, the various articles, right, and the cat videos and so on, and focuses on the business issues that you as a company, whatever your company is, IBM, GE, whoever it is, care about. And we can basically read the articles and start tagging them with things like companies, subsidiaries, business lines, regions, people, topics, markets. We tag it with an infinite amount of different dimensions so that when you come into the system or you pull out your phone and say, I need to know what's happening with my customer in Europe, the information is clean and right there delivered to you, right? And so we do a lot of data. The first the first 6 sections are all about cleaning up the data, looking at the source authority, looking at what it's about, what is it actually written inside. So again, you don't have to go around and subscribe to 400 newsletters just to stay updated on what's happening in your market, and you know you're still missing some. And then we start to get the user's interest in subscriptions. This is where the actual becoming role-based comes in, where we actually need to know a salesperson is different than a hedge fund manager, is different than a strategic marketing manager. Because they look at the world differently. Their information intake is fundamentally different. A marketing person can take in a lot more information than a salesperson. Salesperson just wants to know what I need to do, and then let me move on and go build my relationships and do whatever I do. Just tell me what I need to know. A marketing person needs to see it, needs to analyze it, needs to relate it to some internal research, needs to talk to 3 different people about it, and then come out with, hey, this is what's going to happen, this is the impact it's going to have on us, let me broadcast it out to everybody. Very different roles, very different information experience. If you filter out the news to the marketing person, they'll pay a price for it. They'll miss out on something that's happening. So you have to know who you're actually delivering the information to get specific, and we've created a technology that does that, actually led by Faith. So understanding what the user's interests and subscriptions are, right? Am I a salesperson in Europe, or am I a salesperson that sells to a single account globally? Do I sell 400 accounts, or do I sell 1 account? All those little factors make a difference to how much information you can take in and what kind of information you need to act on. Right? And so we have all the mappings, and then we start to score it, optimize it, and actually put it out to you in a way that makes sure that if Apple buys Beat, and you're selling to Apple and 3 other companies, well, the news that day, 99% of it's going to be about Apple. But that doesn't mean that 1% is not important. Nor should you have to sift through a bunch of articles about Apple to get to the articles that are actually about your other 3 customers. So the system actually knows to go, okay, I got it. Apple bought somebody. That's one event, not 50 articles. It rolls it up and says, okay, here's the 2 or 3 things you need to know from the FT, the Wall Street Journal, and whatever source that's authoritative. And now here's what's happening. It takes that 1% and it actually makes it 30% of the content we send you, right? So that you're not missing the key things. Because what's a great time to release news? When people are distracted, when people are looking somewhere else, right? You, in the middle of a big M&A, you announce that you're being investigated by the SEC and you just fired your CFO, right? It's a great time to do it. Kind of gets lost and a few people may pick it up and sometimes you'll get lucky and they won't for a while, right? Our system actually fights that and makes sure that everything's balanced out because I know you're a salesperson or a hedge fund manager and you're gonna make investment decisions based on this. So I better tell you that they just fired the CFO in Europe because of the European agencies about to investigate them. So this technology stack is really designed to noise reduction and selecting what you care about and then overlaying it with your role so that we put you the right things in the right place. We're even beginning to go down the path of interrupting you through your phone so that when you actually get an interruption, you actually know it's one of your critical events. So if I'm a hedge fund manager, I may want to know about the government investigation. If I'm a salesperson, I may want to know my buyer left the company and it was put out in some local newspaper. We will actually alert you on your phone and tell you, hey, your buyer just left. Right? Your buyer's been fired from the company. You're going to want to be interrupted for that, right? That's very important, and trust me, the 25 minutes is worth being interrupted for, right? Because it changes your whole strategy, right? But we're not going to send you, oh, they got a bad review on a product. We're not going to send you, oh, they just added, they shut down, there's a work strike in this office. You'll get that tomorrow morning, but we're not going to interrupt you with it. So the system has all these rules in it to try to understand what you need to know when through what device and alert you to it based on your role.
Yeah, and I just to add on that, one of the things that we're dealing with is the increasingly mobile workforce, right? And given the number of apps out there that take advantage of push notifications, it's really important for us that we're not just another one of those just kind of blasting, blitzkrieging you with notifications that just to get your attention, because what we really rest on is the quality of our information and understanding when it's important. So it's not quantity for us. And so there's just so much thought that goes into when is the proper time and what device or what channel is the appropriate one. So just to show you, what the previous slide was the technology stack. This is the interface that kind of reflects how you might access that, right? So how you might construct the request to our system to get back that very precise information. And so as you can see, this is kind of not the card catalog that you grew up with. It's the modern day one, the one that results when you have an information overload, right? And this works very well for us for certain users that are willing to invest the time to understand how to use this, okay? And so we continue to use it to get very precise. But where we're going is a little bit different because we found that users have a really hard time, especially just, your sales guy or anybody who's not an information specialist, has a hard time really constructing the queries to that level of detail, right? So telling us what they want is really hard for them to be precise. But they are very good at telling us what they do and what they're responsible for. And so we're trying to bridge the user experience of this through a new way of gathering that information. So I'm just going to walk you through it. Go to Reflector. Okay. It's going to be fun. Okay. So instead of that interface that we just provided, we're now just asking you about who you are and what you do. And so when a user comes to our site, we get this very standard sign up. So, So imagine I'm looking at UOB. All right, so we asked them what is your primary role? And then we discovered that role is a very good overlay for help coming up with different organization patterns. And so we basically asked them what they do. And it's not so much based on title, it's more based on the mode of work that you do. And so for sales, we have all these, we call them personas for sales. And if you're covering a list of target accounts, it's going to be different from if you're just only working on one account versus if you're a manager, etc. So I'm going to select, I have a list of target accounts. And then we allow them to enter the companies that they're responsible for. And then we show them, and this is mapped because we have their companies already modeled in our system, we show them the relevant business lines right away. So very little, they have to do very little to say what they need.
And this is really interesting because this data is what is actually filtered to that company. So what an industrials company sees is different than what an oil and gas company sees. The triggers, environmental risk or government investigation, may matter in some industries far more than others. So if I'm going to alert you before you walk in, I better have earned the right to. And so by me knowing what your triggers are, what the things you want to be interrupted by, we can actually alert you to the right things and not everything. System even asks you, for example, what products do you sell? Do you sell one product or every product, right? Again, we're trying to cut down the noise.
So after that simple walkthrough of what you do and what you're responsible for, we then create this information experience for you. That isn't just a bunch of lists of search queries, but rather is really matching what your mindset might be. And so we have this mobile app that can then go to. So it's creating my target accounts, some opportunity risk triggers. This is something that basically then becomes a very consumer-grade experience for the user.
So I'll just show you the kind of net result of this. Some of the things we've observed kind of approaching this problem differently. So some of the things we've learned by doing this, we ask the users who they are, we know what company they're a part of, we make certain assumptions based on the industry, we make certain assumptions based on your role. It does throw us for a twist. Not all roles call themselves the same thing and actually work the same way, depending on the industry. So one of the key problems we have is understanding what the customer says versus what they actually need. They are two very different things, and it makes life very difficult. The trouble spots. Retrieving the information is far easier, right? Me getting the right data is easier. Figuring out when to present it to you, how to present it to you is far more difficult. And it's something she struggles with every day in her team. Some of the things that we've experienced that I found very fascinating was top-down endorsement has been very easy. Management loves it, gets it. You can save my guys time. You can alert them when they need to know something. Yes, I'm in. Right? And we show them and it works. But when you start to roll this out to salespeople, to marketing people, they don't always want to adopt it the way you think they would. They've got their methods, they've got their tools, they've got their tricks, they've got their sources, they've got their relationships, right? And they go, this is technology, I can do it better. In part way, it's competition for them, right? And it's part way just a lack of trust. I don't want to, I'm not changing what I do, I'm not using it. And so we spent a lot of resources actually trying to educate them, and gaining their confidence, saying, fine, I don't want to replace how you got to gather information. Let me at least give you the emergency triggers. You tell me, don't worry about it. You do what you do. Just tell me those things that you want to be woken up in the middle of the night for, right? If you have none, great, no problem. We'll shut your account off, right? But if you got 2 or 3, we'll monitor those for you. And in a year, you might get 3 alerts from us, right? And many accounts that actually yields in opportunities and different things that they actually do want to find, right? It's actually been a big challenge for us. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Go ahead and go to one more. So what you see is this is actually tracking the same 5 companies, 5 oil and gas companies, and BP, Chevron, Exxon, and so on. And you'll see that if I'm a hedge fund manager, I've got BP being brought to my attention. It's a deeper color, meaning there's something happening in my account. But if I'm a salesperson, Exxon, not much is popping out at me. Same account, same time period, different role, right? ExxonMobil I need to know about, but you start looking over here and you start to see in the map, there's a lot of stuff happening in North America that the salesperson needs to know about. There's a lot of stuff happening in Canada and Russia that the hedge fund manager needs to pay attention to. And for the marketing rep, there's a lot of stuff in Russia and America that he or she has to pay attention to. And so the system is, again, based on your role, able to take the web, pull in the information, and tell you where to look and what you need to do. And you click through on it, and all the data is right behind it, right? To help you get alerted to it. So that's go to the next slide. Yep.
Time for one question for our lovely speakers. Anybody has any questions about what they've learned maybe in trying to deliver data to folks that are monitoring these large industries?
Hi, I'm just wondering if you might be able to share any of the tricks of the trade of discriminating between needs and wants, which is always a toughie.
It's something we struggle with training our field team about how to decipher it. All I can say is try to understand the spirit of what they're asking for and not the letter of what they're asking for. A lot of times people are telling you things in reaction to something that just happened to them, and it is actually not their global problem. So anything you can do to have them elevate their thinking, like instead of saying, what problems do you face today? Say, over the last 6 months or year, what are some of the things that you wish you knew that actually ended up happening? And they'll be able to articulate have a very different discussion with you than what do you care about right now, right? Those are some of just getting them to elevate is probably one of the biggest tricks.
I'm just thinking, do individuals change their, say, attributes?
They do.
Okay.
They change them usually within the first 3 weeks. They come back and change them because now they go, oh, that's what you're doing. I want to see this now. I get it. I don't want 50 accounts. I actually care about these 2 because those are the deals I'm working on right now. Or I care about this one competitor. Yeah, you can track the 5, but I really care about this one because they're eating my lunch every day. Right? And so they do come back after about 3 weeks, and then you see them start changing it about once a year after that.
Yeah, another part of our system is that we're recording what they're doing and getting smarter, right? So it adapts. Oh, okay, we see you consistently click on blog articles but not on PR. So we'll feed you less, of the PR stuff, and so on and so forth. So it's both ways, user and adaptive.
Thank you so much to Faith and Nima. And again, I used their product, and they also were a big help putting on this event. Actually, a quick question. Where did you guys meet? You guys work together, I hear.
We met at Information Overload last year.
These folks independently are excited about this space, working on these problems, and came together. So if anybody else met their new business partner or their future wife here or something, please let us know. We're happy to promote that and take donations.